Winchester, presented by Burl's Termite and Pest Control. Please stand by for your regularly scheduled broadcast and enjoy the show.
Welcome back to Unleashed with Chewy, presented by our friends over there at Burl's Termite and Pest Control. Got an interesting show for you this morning. I went on a bit of a strange adventure over the weekend, and we learned about some of me, some of myself, a little bit of that, and also this morning on the morning show, I apparently revealed a truly embarrassing secret about some opinions on restaurants that I have that people seem to be pretty... pretty passionate about, believe it or not. I was a little bit surprised by some people's reactions because I guess I'm in the minority on some of the opinions of restaurants and what I consider to be fancy or not fancy or anything like that. So we'll jump into that. We'll talk about fashion choices, believe it or not. Yeah, we're talking about fashion this Monday. Thanks for jumping back in. We've got lots of stuff headed for you this morning. I really wanted to talk about, first off, this whole fancy thing, okay? Listen, this morning I got lambasted on air because I said that Olive Garden was a fancy restaurant, okay? Why is that such a controversial thing to say? Someone explained this to me. So the reason it got brought up, I'll set the stage for you. This weekend, my girlfriend got her taxes back. She also had a gift card to Cheesecake Factory. Now, I have complained about the Cheesecake Factory on air before. And in particular, my problem with the Cheesecake Factory is it's way too expensive. And also, I just don't get it. Like, explain to me why two people eating at a restaurant needs to be almost $80, not including tax. Like, it's ridiculous. I got like a little pizza, and she got the vodka rigatoni pasta, okay? And then she got a dessert that wasn't even cheesecake, and it was still $80. Now, thankfully, we had a gift card, so we didn't have to fork over all of that cash, so no worries from there. But my problem is like the first time I went there, I said I'm never going again. And what that basically meant is I'm never paying for this stuff again. And which was true. I was like, I'm not doing this unless, if she really wanted it and it was like her birthday, yeah, obviously we going. But like, it's just like me personally, I am never going like, oh, I can't wait to go to the Cheesecake Factory again. And this weekend, it was actually Friday. Tori jumped in. So it was me and Tori. Tori was here with us on Friday. And she jumped in and she said, hey, I want to go to the Cheesecake Factory. My mom, as a joke, for Easter, got my girlfriend a $25 gift card to Cheesecake Factory, basically ensuring that I'd have to go back there. And Tori came to collect her due this weekend. So we went back to the Cheesecake Factory. We got sat down. We did all the, we looked through the whole book, and you've heard me complain about this. And it was like I just felt underdressed a little bit. But like then there was like everyone. I couldn't tell where this was. Like it was like what I call faux luxury, faux grandeur, where they've got like all these like hanging pieces and like dry. And here's the problem though: everything was covered in wallpaper to make it look like stone. So you saw that it had like these big columns, but you knew it was just like drywall and plywood. But they also had like the doorways were like pulled like half a foot out to make it more exaggerative, and the doors were like ultra heavy and this kind of thing, and the lighting is like really low and sexy, and there's wicker chairs along the long benches and everything, and I, for the life of me, could not figure out what the appeal of this place is. And I was like, it was number one, is way too it was too faux fancy for what it was. It all felt very fake. And then number three, it was like, how are you going to justify it cost $20 for a pizza that was barely a foot long and maybe 3 inches wide, okay? And then I don't even know what Tori's was. And then she got a dessert. And like I said, a dessert that was not cheesecake at the Cheesecake Factory. She specifically said that she did not like the cheesecake at the Cheesecake Factory. She says, in particular, that she actually prefers the cheesecake over here at Skip's. So she didn't even get that as a dessert. What she got was this like apple crumble, like vanilla ice cream thing. And I'll be honest with you, it's one of the most disgusting looking things I've ever seen in my life. It was some sort of apple crumble crap that was in a porcelain, like it was almost like an oblong, like what are those cups called? Ramekin. It was like in an oblong ramekin, and it had like the apples on the bottom and some kind of cinnamon crumble thing on top. Literally looked like baby vomit. But she said it was like the best thing she's ever put in her mouth, which is like, first off, rude, but secondly, it's like, hey, what do you mean? Like, that's $40, and I'm like, I just don't get it. And anyway, my point being, she looked at me after she got the ticket and was like, "Oh my gosh, we spent $90 there, without tax, and we didn't even get any like adult beverages or anything like that. $90. I could not believe that. No, thankfully, hey, shout out to my mother and for getting us a $25 gift card. She made sure that Tori did not have to spend her tax dollars or her tax refund with $25 less. And so we go out there, and I'm like, man, this is ridiculous. So my opinions on Olive Garden have solidified 100%. I am firmly in the camp of like, I don't need this. I don't want this. This does not appeal to me. We don't have to come back here ever again. Obviously, we're probably going to go back again. Hopefully we can wait a year around the same time to where she gets her taxes back. But I have this weird feeling that we're going to be there before that happens, which is fine. It makes her happy, and I'm happy to make her happy. But I'm not enjoying the Cheesecake Factory thing. And it's not even like I like had a terrible time. It was just I just don't get whatever people get out of the Cheesecake Factory. And so I told this story this morning to Joe. And Joe came back and told me that, he's like, oh, well, it's this, that. And I was like, yeah, it was pretty fancy. The fanciest place that I've ever been. Because Joe Abraham was talking about, he went on a big fancy trip. He went all the way down to Atlanta. And apparently they went and tore up some breadsticks and soups and stuff over there at the Olive Garden. Now, the Olive Garden also has a kick-ass mini pizza, too. But what pissed me off was I was telling him this morning, and I was like, hey, Joe, that's probably the fanciest restaurant I've ever been to. And then he turns around and tells me that that's not a fancy restaurant. And then Rick jumps into the chat and texts both of us, oh, that's not fancy. You don't know what fancy is. Obviously, I know what something fancy is. Okay, look, Joe Abraham just walked into the door. This is a good conversation to continue. Joe, do you mind explaining yourself to everybody about what you said to me this morning? Because I don't particularly believe what I said was very, very hyperbolic.
I just find it interesting that like the fanciest places that you've ever been to are like the Olive Garden and the Cheesecake Factory.
Olive Garden, Cheesecake Factory, P.F. Chang's. Has anybody ever been there before? That place is hella fancy.
The other thing that you just revealed to people is, without realizing that you revealed it to people, is that you're a connoisseur of the mini pizza.
I love a mini pizza, dude. I'll go to a bar for a mini pizza. I'm not even joking.
So who's got the best mini pizza around?
Cheesecake Factory technically has
Really?
the best, like, because the Olive Garden one's very like.
Well, it should be good for like $60.
Dude, I'll be honest with you, like I was ready to flip a table, but like Olive Garden, the reason it's not as good is because it's technically a kids menu item. And so one time I was like, no, you think that's embarrassing? Imagine being my significant other, and she's like, oh yes, could we have this? Could we have that? I'm like, give me the kids menu, please. And then so I asked the waiter, I was like, dude, listen, forget the menu. I was like, just bring me 2 of the mini pizzas. And he was like, I'll see what I can do. So what he did was he rung up 2 kids meal orders for pizza. So I got double fries and double pizza and 2 drinks, but they were like the kids drinks and they weren't free refills either. So I had to then order an adult beverage, not like that kind, but like an adult sized drink to then refill it. And I was like, never again.
I can't believe they can just a la carte you a mini pizza.
That's what I thought. I was like, what do you mean?
New thing here?
Yeah, like
I also think that it's hilarious, and now this is very telling, that the fanciest restaurant that you've ever been to is the Olive Garden and the Cheesecake Factory.
You say that like it's some revelation.
Because of the fact that you still order off of the menu that you can color on. When you get to the table, are you like, dang it, my blue broke. My blue crayon is broken.
No, I tell you what actually irritates me with that one is like when they give you the one with the little box, but half of them are already broken on the inside. Now that drives me up a wall. The best restaurants you can go to though have the the paper on the thing already.
Yeah.
And they just give you the crayons, and then you just kind of go nuts
You
on
know
those.
it's a good restaurant if you can color on the table.
And it's always got some like
placemat.
Yeah. Like you know how like in France, like every restaurant on the water is called like Le Nautilus, and it's like they all have the same
What did
thing.
you just call me?
I think that means the Nautilus, but like that's like their thing. But in America,
Yeah.
all those little pierside towns, they have like, and it's always some like the dirty, rotten,
Crab hut.
crab hut. You know what I mean? The stanky lobster or something like that. And it's always like or there was one that I remember, and I'm quoting this. This is not. I need to make sure I say this right. Fudd Puckers. It was in, I was like 11 years old, and I remember this. It was in Jacksonville, Florida, and we went there, kick-ass fries, first off.
Dude, so I don't know about Fudd Puckers. Fuddruckers is my favorite restaurant.
Does it have a pelican on it?
No.
Okay, then.
You're talking about a different restaurant. Like, I know there is a Fudd Puckers, but Fuddruckers is like a burger joint, and it is tremendous.
Is this also like a port thing, like a seaside thing?
No, the first one I ever went to was in Hilton Head Island, but I think that one closed down. And then they used to have one. I think they've got one still over in like the Pigeon Forge area.
Oh.
Unless that one closed down as well. But hopefully they haven't all closed down, because it was one of my favorite places ever.
Now, this is a side tangent, but back to what I was saying.
Yes.
I am not usually a coloring guy.
Well, it's tough because you can't see but half the colors.
See, you finished my sentence for me. It's like it doesn't really matter if they give me those kinds of things. It doesn't, it's not going to bother me. But I want to know what constitutes as fancy. Like, what does that mean? Does it mean that you can't get it from it? So are all chains not fancy? Like, is that what that is? Like,
Pretty
if
much.
it's a chain, it's not fancy?
Well,
Or is it the price? Is it
a little bit of both?
Is it what you can wear? Apparently, there's dress codes for
Yeah.
restaurants. If we go into a restaurant,
Like J. Alexander is pretty fancy, but I wouldn't say that it's.
Don't even know what that is.
But I wouldn't say it's extremely fancy. Like, there are certain places that you literally cannot go. It's like fine dining. You can't walk in there without a tie.
okay, so you use the term fine dining. For me, like fine dining is like the steakhouse. You know,
Fine dining for you is like when you put the hot dogs in the mac and cheese.
exactly. You see, you're picking up what I'm putting down. Like, I'll put the Masters beanie on. I'll wear the gray jacket instead of a colorful one. I'll wear all solid colors. I put on a uniform. I can put on a tie. I think I've got a yellow tie somewhere and a blazer.
It's got SpongeBob's face on it, but
I've got my one tie that I have is actually a Ravenclaw from Harry Potter.
yeah.
I did have a nice yellow tie, but I lost it. It wasn't as useful, I guess.
You used it to like wipe something off your
Get
beard
the
or
pizza.
something.
I got
like
pizza
that.
out of my
There you go.
face. I don't know. Like, I just like, for me, like, Cracker Barrel borders on a fancy place. You know what I mean?
It comforts me to know that when I die, you will be standing over my casket, not dressed up, just like in your beanie with your hoodie.
I would go to your funeral because it was part of my day. Like, I would be like, oh, right, there's Joe. And I would, like, turn off, and I'd get out. I'd go and gawk at your corpse for a little bit and pretend that this is a big deal.
You'd have to, knowing our relationship, you'd have to poke at me and whisper and be like, Joe, you messing around?
It's like, is this a clever marketing scheme, Joe
Is this
Abraham?
a joke? Are you messing with me?
It's just a bit because it's not funny. It's not funny anymore, Joe. We're supposed to go to the Olive Garden.
Oh, God.
You loaded up on the... Okay, how is it not a fancy restaurant if they give you unlimited free food? Explain that to me, Joe Abraham. What constitutes fancy at this point? What more fancy could it be where, like, hey, just for walking in, we're giving you free food and, like, real food? Like, what do you mean? What do you mean that's not fancy? What constitutes a fancy? Is it the price? Is it what you can wear? Explain it to me.
I think it's a little bit of each of those things, but
Well, what's
wait,
the threshold?
okay, does that mean like Cracker Barrel when they start bringing out the biscuits and all that? Is that like fancy to you? Cracker Barrel fancy?
It's a little nice. You know what I mean? Like,
a little high end.
yeah, like, I'm like, where are we at? You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, the most you get at a restaurant is what? Salt, pepper, and ketchup. And
They want you to take the
yeah,
condiments.
exactly. Like, that's what I'm saying. I think we as a culture have misplaced the word luxury.
Okay.
Honestly,
Well, let me take a step back because you're saying that it is. What is the fancy threshold to you?
for me, the fancy threshold is this a place that you could take somebody after prom or an event or something like that. That for like a place that is semi-private, but also is not fast casual, where you sit down and there's got like the full menu. It's got like wines that you can pick from. It's like that kind of thing where they've got you've got options.
Low lighting.
It's
like a couple of light bulbs went out on purpose.
Here's another one. Cloth napkins. Not the paper napkins, but like a cloth napkin.
Okay.
That's a fancy place.
Okay. So I'm starting to pick up what you're putting down. So there's like fast food.
Yes.
And then there's like that level above fast food.
Right.
And anything in that level or above is fancy to you.
Is that wrong? Is that not how you guys did this?
They've got cloth napkins.
I'm saying if there's not paper napkins on the thing that you just like pull out of the thing, but they like come and give you a thing.
Okay, so here's what I'm understanding from you. If it's like country club level.
Yes.
Country club level is
country club is. Are you about to tell me that country clubs aren't fancy?
No, they're nice. I would say that they're like a step above normal, like as in they're nice, but they're not like fine, like fancy.
What constitutes fine dining? Is it the price or is it the service? Because I've had fantastic service from both Skips and Cheesecake Factory, and I can tell you which one I'd rather go back to.
So I would say atmosphere.
It Skips, by the way, if anyone just jumped in.
I would say atmosphere overall because, again, you get to that level, and they make you wear a tie to go into a place like that, or you have to dress up to go into a place like that.
The balls on these people.
Well, it is to protect the atmosphere of everybody around you as well.
So it sounds like what you're saying is exclusionary tactics are what causes luxury.
Which is probably what circles us all the way back around to why you've never been to one. You're not allowed. I think we just discovered.
So the reason I don't know what fancy is because I've never been allowed in a fancy place.
Yes.
You know what? That makes a little bit of sense. I'll give you that. But I just don't get it. Like, I don't understand what could be more fancy than you sitting down and people bringing you free food just on the house. You know what I mean? Like, is that not what constitutes as fancy? I don't know.
That's as fancy as you're going to get, my friend.
As fancy as I want to
That's as fancy as they'll let you go.
Here's my other question, though. What is it about a fancy restaurant that does it for you psychologically? Because it literally is alien to me.
Okay, so I've really only been to a couple of really, like, high-end places. And one of them, we talk about prom, one of them was my senior prom. Actually, it wasn't mine. It was the girl I was going out with, and I wanted to really impress her. And they charge you like $100 bill just to walk in the place.
Exactly.
Like it was so expensive. I think we spent $300 or $400 on the meal, and it was one of those places where you had to have the tie on and all the things. And I was dressed up for prom, and I still felt underdressed in the place. It was insane. But yeah, I mean, we sat down, and they come out, and I ordered Caesar salad. Okay, number one, this is the first place that I learned that. FYI, if you didn't know, they put anchovies in Caesar dressing. Mm-hmm. Didn't know that.
Yeah.
But they come out, and the dude made the Caesar dressing in front of us at the table.
With the little fishies and
like,
everything?
Took the fish, chopped it up, minced it up, mixed it into the thing. I was like, what the hell are you doing? He's like, I'm making a Caesar dressing. What do you think makes it Caesar? I didn't know. I thought maybe Julius really liked that type of salad.
Just take a knife to it every 14th of March or something. You know?
There you go. The Ides.
Yeah.
Got to get the Ides in there.
You got to put the Ides in there.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
So I had no clue up until that point. But, yeah, I mean, if they're like making stuff at the table for you, that's pretty fancy.
I didn't even know that was an option at a restaurant.
Yeah.
I was unaware of this. But yes, that would constitute as fancy to me.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like what you consider a fancy restaurant, I also would consider a fancy restaurant. It's just my word for fancy goes way lower than yours does.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously that's fancy.
Right.
But like, that's egregious. Like, it would make me so uncomfortable to like have a guy like even at Olive Garden, the guy with the stupid cheese thing. I'm like, can I just do it myself? Like, can you go away?
That guy makes me. So when the server comes over and they start grinding up your cheese for you, it does make me uncomfortable because here's the thing. I want a lot of cheese, but I don't want too much cheese that I'm going to embarrass myself to the cheese person. Now, Katie, the other day when we were sitting there, she's like, I want a lot of cheese. And so the girl starts going, and she's like, yeah, It's okay. I've got another block in the back.
Jesus.
Yeah, that's how much cheese. Katie was unapologetic about it. Me, I'm like, yeah, just a little cheese. Just a little cheese. That's good. That's good.
But like I've seen the movies where like they have like the violinist at the table. I would puke. Like it would make. I'd be like, sir, I will pay you to go away.
You play some Freebird?
Yeah, I was like, can you like, hey, what's like the hardest you could go on that? You know,
Some Metallica or
I bet you can't
Black
play
Sabbath.
Dragon Force on it. But yeah, I don't know. My threshold for fancy is just like if you listen, I'll be honest with you. If you sit me down and there's like a waitress who pays attention, that's enough for me. You know,
Bro, it sounds like if they give you a box and all the colors are in it and the crayons are not
10
broken.
out of 10. I'm the
It's fancy.
best Yelp guy for you to pull into your restaurant because the moment someone's mildly kind to me, 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
This place is amazing. I love this place. You know what I mean? But like I think with fancy, and when I say that, I'm talking about places like Olive Garden, P.F. Chang's and stuff. But like when you go beyond that,
Yeah, there's a level that you get to, brother, that they don't even have kid menus anymore. Which, again, another reason why you're not allowed. And, in fact, they probably have a sign on the door that says, no children or Chewies.
exactly.
No Wookiees allowed.
Like, well, here's my thing is I don't understand what the appeal is because half of the time those kinds of restaurants miss just as much as they hit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where they have to fancify things. So you can't just have steak and potatoes.
Right.
You've got to have steak and potatoes and all that little green stuff on it. And you know what I mean?
They bring out, you ask for a glass of water, they bring out like a big block of ice and start melting it into your cup. This is a glacier water.
We went to New Orleans one time and it was some hole in the wall restaurant. And I said, could I have a water?
Yeah.
And when I say that, what do you think I'm asking? You knowing me, if I say, can I have a water and you're a waiter, what am I saying?
It's either a glass of water or bottle of water.
Yeah,
sink water.
exactly. This dude, yes, he came up and he brought sparkling glass water. And the first thing I said, I'm not paying for that. And the second thing was, I don't want TV static. If I asked for it, I would. You know what I mean? Like the second part was internal, but he knew what was up. But
It does though. Even when they bring me.
Yeah.
If I ask for water, if you go to a restaurant and you ask for water and they bring you bottled water, that makes me uncomfortable.
Or like the big glass or something.
Yeah.
One time we did that. Like Dad was on a business trip and I got to go and the room service there was we had like a $30 like credit card or something like where I could order $30 worth of room service a day.
Okay.
One bottle of water was $30. And so I got it and I was like, this has to be, you know what I mean? And I'm thinking it's going to be that big fancy like glass bottle.
Right.
It was a like natural spring water that they had and it was like that. And I was like, wow, I that's when I was like, I need to go home. You know, I'm like, this is not for me. But yeah, I don't know. I still am unconvinced. I think Olive Garden is fancy. I think I think your tastes are a little too refined.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You need to come back. I see you all the way up there on your high horse. You need to get down back here and come see the beauty. And you know what?
All right.
When you go to a Cheesecake Factory or you go to like an Olive Garden after you leave, you feel like hot stuff.
Yeah.
You know what? Because I'm like, dang, I didn't know I was doing that well. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
after you walk out of one of those restaurants.
Dude, you gotta be careful. You got your own radio show now. You're on a whole nother level.
Yeah. Like I'm.
I don't even have my own show.
What? You got a morning show?
No, it's with Joe and Chewy. You have your own show. In fact, you're on 2 shows now.
Okay. Well, I see what you're saying. All right, we've spent enough time on the fancy stuff, but I appreciate you for coming in and telling me about it. I'm glad you came back in to give me some more, so people had more perspective on where I'm coming from.
I think what we both have discovered, and now we both have an understanding of, is that apparently Ricky is way up above all of us.
Like the way he responded this morning was just like he almost was disgusted, like with my behavior.
Yeah.
Like, so I am curious. We need to get Ricky in here and ask him a follow-up. What constitutes a fancy restaurant?
A
you know
place
what I mean?
where you can't order a mini pizza, which is no place that you, my friend, want to go.
That's no place for me.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. All right, we'll be back with more Unleashed with Chewy. Thank you, Joey Brand, for jumping in. We're going to be back with more presented by Burroughs Termite and Pest Control after this break. Jump in with us again right after this.
Athletics teach more than wins and losses. Substance misuse can undermine performance, health, and long-term goals. That's why prevention matters in sports and in life. The Franklin County Prevention Coalition partners with schools, coaches, and families to promote healthy choices among student athletes. Because when teams support one another, we are stronger together. And when young leaders compete with clear minds and healthy bodies, they're truly stronger without it. Learn more at fcpctn.org. This project is funded under a grant contract with the Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services.
Busy day? No time to feel sick? At Complete Express Care in Winchester, we know life moves fast. And so do we. With short wait times, skilled providers, and walk-in convenience, we make getting quality care easy. Whether it's the flu, a sprain, or a last-minute physical, we're here to help you get back to what matters most. Locally trusted, open daily, and ready to care for you. Complete Express Care, right here at 1211 Dinah Shore Boulevard in Winchester. Call 931-967-6669 today to learn more.
This is Joe Abraham, inviting you to join me and Chewy every Tuesday morning on the starting lineup for Trending Tuesday. We're breaking down what's buzzing right here in Franklin County and across social media. The stories everyone's talking about, from local headlines and sports chatter to the wild world online. If it's trending, we're tackling it. Don't miss Trending Tuesday on the starting lineup. Weekday mornings from 7 to 9 on ESPN Radio 1340 1069 WCDT Winchester.
To tackle or a party to plan? Skip the stress and rent it instead at Reliable Rental in Winchester. From tools and heavy-duty machines to chairs, tables, and event essentials, they've got what you need to get the job done right. Whether it's work or a weekend celebration, Reliable Rental makes it easy. Stop by 2433 Deckard Boulevard in Winchester or check out everything they offer online at reliablerentalfc.com. Reliable Rental. When you need it, they've got it.
This is Unleashed with Chewy, powered by Burrell's Termite and Pest Control on ESPN Radio 1340 1069 WCDT Winchester.
Welcome back to Unleashed, presented by our friends over there at Burrell's Termite and Pest Control. I am Chewy. You are listening to ESPN Radio Winchester 1340 1069. We're talking about fancy restaurants in the first little bit there. Join us on the conversation. Do you think Olive Garden's a fancy place? I do. Let us know. Enough talk about that. All right, we're going to move on a little bit here. Video games. No. Trust me. This is a good topic. Don't worry. Stay with me. I'm not asking if you play them or if you have an opinion on them, but here we go. I have recently dipped my toes in the developer game, and I got to tell you one thing. It is difficult. It is not something that is very simple. It was something that I thought would be a little more straightforward than it is, and it's pretty straightforward, but it's still not 100% straightforward. A lot of the time investment is something that I was not really ready for. I thought like, oh yeah, we'll bang this out in I don't know how long, and I've got a working prototype for the game. It does technically work. It doesn't have anything fancy, but there is a little man who runs across the thing. It's got a set and everything. It's got all the backgrounds. Everything's fixed. It works. It's functional. But I got to tell you what, I was surprised at how much of an investment that was. It definitely gives me lots of very empathetic all of a sudden to game developers. In particular, every time I've ever complained about a video, why doesn't it have this? Or why wouldn't you just do that? I tell you why, it's because it takes 3 years, especially solo. Not to mention music and art and the sound effects. Just the sound effects. Finding the right ones, putting them in the right place, and getting them to work right. Having things interact with certain things, it is shocking how difficult it actually is to put together. And here's the annoying part about it is that the majority of what this is just logic. It says if X happens, Y is the result. and that's all it is. So if this runs into that, you know what I mean? But here's the key, though. That sounds simple, but you got to do that for every single thing. So it's like, what happens when the character is on the ground? Do they fall through the ground? Can they fall through the ground? Do they keep going? Do they stop? You know, it's like, are there enemies on the ground? And if they are, where do they go? Do they go back and forth? Do they go up and down? Can the player interact with it? You've got to account for every single possible scenario for that to happen, all specific to each instant. And I just have to say one thing. Number one, kudos to anybody who's ever tried to make a game before. That is a tough thing, especially solo. Number two, yeah, I don't think this project's going to get done anytime soon. So don't be on the edge of your seat waiting for anything. But wow, it is not a simple chore, and it very much is a chore. But I'm glad to be in my development era, I guess. It's definitely going to be one of these things where it's like worked on the weekends and on the side, but it's coming together. It functions. I've got it here on the computer, but that's about it. But hey, stay tuned. Maybe an announcement will come here sometime soon. Maybe not. We'll see. Stay tuned to Unleashed and Starting Lineup if you have any opinions on this as well. But the second thing I wanted to jump into this morning was fashion. Now, apparently, I am not. Joey Abraham says he's on the edge of his seat. It's awesome. Well, I appreciate you, friend. It is pretty. It's kind of a neat concept. It's very novel. I wish I could tell people more about it right now just because of what it is, but I don't want to promise anything and then people get disappointed if something doesn't happen. So stay tuned and stay alert, but there could be something on its way. Let's jump into fashion, though. I know this is, again, we're on doing some weird topics today, but I just got to get this off my chest. So over the weekend, on the way to the Cheesecake Factory, me and Tori had a long conversation about fashion. And I was like, okay, for an example, if you're wearing clothes that are uncomfortable, for me, that makes sense in a few scenarios. Number one, if you have a work uniform. Number two, if you are going to something like a wedding or a funeral or an awards show or like a celebration of some kind, and there's like a dress code, I totally get it. 100% get it. Outside of that, in your everyday streetwear, and I'm talking about just going to the grocery store, why are you not first prioritizing comfort? Why would you wear anything that doesn't feel comfortable? And what I've realized is I am to the extreme on this, that I am so comfort focused forwards that I completely missed out on the fact that you're supposed to match your clothes. I'm like, so here's a dive into the psychology of what I wear. I wear the same thing every single day, but with variations. I wear a jacket, a t-shirt, some shorts, and my shoes. Okay? It's the same thing. Now, I wear a different shirt, and I wear different shorts, and others, of course. But my point being is like that does not deviate. If you see me at work dressed like that, you will see me at a church dressed like that. That is the way I had done this, because in my head, this is what I've done. I've said, this kind of shirt is the most comfortable kind of shirt. Out of these most comfortable kinds of shirts, which one of these shirts do I like? And I just pick shirts that I like. Same goes with my shorts. My shorts I like this style of shorts. And let me pick from all the shorts. These are my favorites. And someday, and I like solid color ones, and then I like fancy ones. I've got those big flamingo shorts. Everyone knows about those with the big, that Larry Daly sold a version of that as golf pants on his website. I got mine off Temu, but that's besides the point. But it's the same pattern, but that goes for every article of clothing. Never once have I thought, does this outfit go well together? Do I look put together? You know what I mean? I've never done that, and I've never worn anything in my entire life that has ever boosted confidence. Tori was smart and told me, she was like, hey, yes, I understand what you're saying, number one. But number two, you have to remember that you, Chewy, she didn't say that word, are not normal. She didn't say that word either. But that's a more polite way of what she told me. And I was like, good point. Let me open up my mind a little bit, because I was getting a little belligerent. I was like, why would you even bother? And I was saying things like this. But she sort of expanded my understanding of what people consider fashion. She's like, sometimes someone might wear this even though it's uncomfortable because of how it makes them feel. They might feel more beautiful wearing it, or they may feel more confident wearing it. This is an alien concept to me. I was unaware of this. So I'm sitting here thinking, like, what would you wear that would make you feel more confident? I've never put on clothes and thought, well, that now I can do it. You know what I mean? Like, I've never done that, never translated. And I've worn nice clothes and I've worn terrible clothes. I've worn pajamas, like it all. I don't have a different feeling in any of them, nor do I really care to hear about if someone doesn't like one of these articles of clothing. If someone came up to me and was like, I don't like your shirt, I'd be like, well, that sounds like a you problem. You know what I mean? Like, I like this shirt and I didn't ask for your permission to wear it. You know what I mean? Like, that's not what we're here for. But back to what Tori was saying. She was more of like saying, there are other reasons outside of comfort to choose clothing items. And again, I understand I'm revealing a lot about myself with some of these statements, but in all seriousness, to me, that was just an alien thing. Like, if you're just wearing clothes that are not for a specific, event, what are we doing here if you're not picking the ones that feel the best? And what Tori told me was there are some where people derive positivity, positive body image, confidence. It may help you fulfill the role mentally for yourself, whether you do it. And the way she did this is how you know this girl's smart. So she gets there and she's like, when you put on your stormtrooper outfit and you feel more confident. And I had to stop her in her tracks, and I was like, I do not feel more confident in my stormtrooper outfit. It gives me an excuse to be a stormtrooper for a little while. So even then, I think I guess I'm still kind of technically doing everything wrong from that perspective. Because when I put on the costume, I've got the Gandalf costume, I've got the stormtrooper costume, and I like to get in these big get-ups because it's an excuse to just sort of it's like Halloween, right? You get in these things and you're like, hey, I would like to perform for a little while. You know what I mean? This is my chance to get out there and just be a little different. So when I'm in the stormtrooper outfit, if it's Halloween, I've got a stormtrooper thing on. Every 3-foot tall Darth Vader I see, I'm saluting. You know what I mean? I get to be that character for a little while. And let me ask you this. Let me ask the public this. Is that what fashion is for most people all the time? Is it like you put this thing on and now you get to be who you are? Or now my persona is complete? Or is it something where, for me, what makes the most sense is if you wear an article of clothing every day, it's not the most comfortable. Maybe it cuts into your stomach. Maybe it cuts into your back. Maybe it's like some sort of tank top or something that cuts into you, but it shapes your body a certain way and you really like the way it looks, or maybe it fits you. Is that something that people do? And when you do that, what does it do for you psychologically? Is it an active thought process for you to do these things? Because in the morning when I go and I pick out my stuff that I'm going to wear for the day, it is just what I can find, what's in front of me. Because the shirts that I have picked out, I don't really have any shirts that I don't like. If I don't like a shirt, I'm going to give it to somebody else. So for me, it's I don't think about it. I just go into the closet and I grab what's there, and then I get out, and I don't think about it. And nor does it add or subtract anything from my day. It was a very enlightening conversation on how people sort of talk about themselves without words. You know what I mean? Where Tori brought up this really good point, and it was wearing certain items that may be uncomfortable can also signify who you want to be associated with, both culturally, but also what niche, right? And I do this to a degree. I'll wear Star Wars shirts and dinosaur shirts and stuff like that, and you sit there and you wait for someone else to point it out, right? Same concept. It just never occurred to me that could be a full regalia, or that people would be willing to sacrifice comfort for those things, especially if they are not mandated by event, job, situation. It's very, very fascinating stuff, and stuff that I was literally unaware of just from a cerebral concept. I just it never occurred to me that somebody could making an active choice to be uncomfortable for the sake of fulfilling a role or getting confidence from somewhere. I'd like to hear what people have to say about that, because the whole ritual itself just fascinated me, because people make fun of me because of the way I dress. And it's never bothered me. It never has bothered me the way people make fun of the way I dress. And I tell you why, is because it's just clothes. Like I never tied anything emotional to it. You know what I mean? It wasn't a part of it. So it's like, do I dress kind of goofy? Objectively, yes. But do I care that you think it's goofy? Absolutely not. I like these shorts and I like these pants. Do they match? Probably not, but I'm colorblind, so it doesn't matter. You know, like, does flamingo pants go with like a band concert or like a tour shirt? No, but that's not really why I'm wearing them. I'm not wearing them to match them. I'm wearing them because I like this article of clothing. Same thing goes for your socks and your shoes and your stuff like that. I prioritize comfort. What do you guys prioritize as far as your fashion goes? Jump into the Hall of Furniture Facebook stream and let us know. We're going to take a break here and be back with more Unleashed with Chewy, presented by our friends over there at Burl's Termite and Pest Control. Stay tuned after these messages.
You shouldn't have to choose between quality and price. And with Flagship Lawn Services, you get both, plus the Flagship Finish Guarantee. That means every job is done right, or they'll make it right. No shortcuts, no hassle. Just a yard that looks the way it should. From weekly mowing to full spring cleanups, they've got you covered. Call or text Flagship Lawn Services today at 239-849-4033 and get the best value for your yard this season.
Hey, Franklin County, when you need quick cash, a new guitar, or that perfect engagement ring, swing into KK's Loans, Music and Jewelry. With Manchester, Tullahoma, and McMinnville locations, KK's delivers fast, confidential pawn loans and the region's biggest selection of new and used instruments, from PV amps to Pearl drum kits, plus sparkling certified pre-owned jewelry in gold, all priced to move. Buy, sell, trade, or borrow, whatever gets you back on track. KK's is a proud sponsor of Franklin County Athletics, supporting every sport, every season.
There are all kinds of guys. Video game guys, gym guys, even romantic guys. Let's be honest, not all guys are built the same. We're garage guys, and a garage door moves more than any other part of your home. So when it starts wearing down, the garage guys are here to serve Bedford, Coffee, Franklin, Lincoln, and Moore County with high-quality work you can trust, unlike those unreliable guys. Call Garage Guys today or find them online at garageguys931.com. Garage Guys, built different.
Hey folks, I'm Johnny Hand from WCDT, the home for Franklin County Athletics. From Friday night football to every big game in between, we're proud to bring you all the action that keeps our community cheering. Want to be part of that excitement? We'd love to talk with you about advertising and other great opportunities to support our local athletes. So give us a call today at 931-967-2201 or stop by the station at 1201 South College Street right here in Winchester. WCDT Winchester. We are Franklin County.
This is Unleashed with Chewy, powered by Burl's Termite and Pest Control on ESPN Radio 1340, 1069, WCDT Winchester.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Unleashed, presented by our friends over there at Burl's Termite and Pest Control. Like I said, over the weekend, I had a bit of an adventure. I went down to the mall in Huntsville. That's not true. We went to Chattanooga, I think. Went to some mall. I don't know. They all look the same to me, which is kind of my point. When was the last time you guys went to a mall? I got a bad report here for you if you're expecting anything different. It was there was a lot of people there, but I gotta say, as far as like the classic mall experience, guys, I think it's on its way out, because this was sad. There were whole sections of the mall that were just unused. Half of the stores aren't there anymore, and then the stores that are there are either exactly the same as everybody else's, or they're like leftovers from a bygone era that don't even have a personality anymore. me and Tori both, we were like, you know, the alternative heavy metal goth kid kind of type. That's how we grew up, and we went and like, we saw a Hot Topic, and we were like, do you even want to go in there? You know, like we went in there and we were there for about 5 minutes, and we looked around, and I mean, it's neat. It's nice. It has sort of that feel from back in the day, you know, but it's certainly not what it used to be, and it's not any place that I would recommend necessarily going to either. I am devastated is too strong of a word for it, but definitely just disappointed on how malls have been going and are currently at. I'm sure some of the larger malls are having a bit of a resurgence, but the past few malls that we've been to, man, they've had just like an entire, you know, like how they just have that like giant 2-story hall where the entire thing is just empty, and whatever business that was at the very end of it with all that floor space, it's just gone. And I don't know if it's old world blues finally catching up to me, if it's my age now where I'm just like, man, things aren't the way they used to be. But I got to tell you, the vibe at a mall is off, as the way the kids would say it nowadays. It is not as fun as it used to be. It used to, you know, I just don't know. Like, there wasn't, like, when we would pass by a store, I didn't want to, like, go in. We didn't buy anything at the mall. Nothing. She had her tax money back. I got paid. We were good. We were, like, and I was like, oh, we're going to go to the mall and pick out a treat. Nothing. Like, there was nothing at the mall. Like, I had no motivation. The most of it is when we went to Spencer's, I found a few things, and I was like, oh, man, that'd be funny for my brother's birthday. Or there was, like, 2 T-shirts, and I was like, oh, that's neat. But then they're like, oh, by the way, they're like $42 a piece. And I'm just like, no. Like, I can't abide it. I don't know. There's something off about it, and I'm mad about it. Joe says he likes to wear black. I don't know why. Oh, he's talking about the fashion thing. What killed the mall? Online shopping. It's very possible. And I mean, like, you've kind of got a point. Online shopping is like, I don't know if anyone here remembers. Well, I imagine probably most of you do. If you're born like after 1998, you may not catch this, but there was this thing called Oriental Trading, and it was just a magazine where you'd go and pick stuff out, and it was just stuff, knickknacks, interesting little items, trinkets, that kind of thing. And it feels like Oriental Trading was sort of the precursor of what online shopping has become. And I think you're right. I think it's probably more than just online shopping, but something about malls is dead. And I don't know what it is, but like even half of the food court was empty. When we walked in, there was a whole section of just this like big, nice restaurant. And it had to have been prom night, because when we were down there were so many like very young people in like really, really fancy dresses and everything. When we got to Cheesecake Factory, an hour after we got there, we were about to head out, and just droves of young people coming in dressed to the nines, like the silk dresses with the big bows and like the full tuxedos, or like the bow ties and the vest kind of thing. And it was always some kid who's got a girl out with him. So I was like, we couldn't figure out what's going on. So it had to have let us know if you were in Chattanooga. Was there like a prom or something? Because that's what it looked like. Because everybody, even in the mall, they were all running around dressed to the nines. And I mean, I talk about how I feel underdressed all the time. For some reason, I was in the middle of a Spencer looking at the lava lamps and being like, I should have dressed up for this. You know, or as I was passing the shot glasses, and I was like, oh, look at that. They've got one that looks like a fish in a bag. And then someone just like walks by with this handmade, hand-tailored suit. And I was like, that's a little out of place. And then like this emerald green silk dress walks back. And I'm like, either Chattanooga has appealed to a higher tax bracket since the last time I've been here, which I don't think so, or something was going on. But we were in that mall. Man, vibe is just dead. Something is off at the malls. I don't know what it is, but even the food court, there was just missing restaurants. Here's been the 3 staples of malls in the past 15 years. It has been Hot Topic, Spencer's, and Sbarro and Bath & Body. 4. Those 4 things I will see in every single mall, no matter where we go. That's it. That's all you need for a mall, apparently. Because apparently people got out there and they said, oh, yeah, sure, what do we got? Well, we have our Bath & Body. We got all this. But then they've got like these little it literally looked like a store and it was stuff filled with it that I have seen on Temu. And it was like tons of it, like backstock, like resold Temu crap that they're using as a store. And I was like shocked by this. And then they've also got these there's like this novelty Japan Dollar General kind of thing. What was that Dollar General that was in front of Walmart? The one that was just made, the one that's like 5 feet from it. It was called something. I think it was called like Pop Shelf or something. It was essentially that, but it was all weeaboo based, where it had like the Pocky and like there was like a bunch of like Japanese products and Japanese chips and like the Japanese drinks. It was very strange and like super bright. You know how like those vape shops at night will look like a freaking like moth to those moth lamps, and all the stoners go to them like a bunch of mosquitoes. It's the same idea, but in a mall, and it was weird and out of place. It was almost like, you know how like stores and malls used to be, you could only go to this store at the mall. Like you couldn't go get Auntie Anne's at, they just didn't have it like on the side of the road. Or if they did, it's not where I've seen. Like a Bath & Body has to be in a mall. You're not going to see a Bath & Body on its own little pop-up shop somewhere downtown. No, it's got to be in one of these hole-in-the-walls. Like in Tullahoma, it's in the mall. It's the same thing. And I tell you what it felt like. Here was the difference. Used to be that the mall, you would go to these places, and these were the only places that you could buy these items at. Where this is the only place you could get tight-fitting jeans for a men was at Hot Topic. Or the only place you could get a booby shot glass was at Spencer's or something like that. There were things in the mall and even signage that implied if you just want a store, come ask us places. It was the same. It was sort of the same thing. Very strange. Like it was just like a mom and pop shop. They didn't have the money to go and put it somewhere else, so they just put it in the mall. It's like it's not an exclusive thing anymore. People go get their eyes done at the mall now. You know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense to me. Joey Ram says, I'd rather shop at the mall than online, but I like to hold the product in my hand, but also hanging out with people. See, that's sort of where I'm also at as well. Let's see what else he says. Must have been prom night. I'm pretty sure it was prom night, but there's also the aspect of like the social aspect. There's a miasma of social interaction where it is about as close as you can get to hanging out with strangers. Dad jumped in saying Auntie Anne's is why you used to like going to the mall. Let's be real. Very good point, Dad. Thanks for ratting on me. But no, you're 100% right. It used to be when I would want to go to the mall. The reason I wanted to go to the mall was because that was the only place where I could get a cinnamon sugar pretzel. Okay, and I love cinnamon sugar pretzels. Stoltzfus pretzels, by the way. She's been the one who's been supplying it around here recently. Brett Crabtree jumped in. Good morning or good afternoon, Brett Crabtree. We're talking malls. But yes, Dad did point out the only reason I used to like going to the malls was because they had cinnamon pretzels there, and there's the only place you could get a cinnamon pretzel. Certainly from around here, is you had to drive an hour out to the mall. Nowadays, though, I am very much spoiled by Mary Ellen out there. Hey, shout out to Stoltz's Pretzels. She makes a kick-ass cinnamon sugar pretzel along with tons of others. Go out there and try that. We caught her at the Row for the fast few times here. Go out there and see if she has one of my favorite food trucks. But yes, to my father's point, that was like the only thing. But again, we live in a world now where malls are not exclusives. Like I went to GameStop and everything in there I'd seen online. You know what I mean? What I did like is what Joe pointed out is you can touch it, hold it, look at it. Do you want it? It's really good for like, if anyone who shops online chronically, here's something. Put it in your cart and then don't do it. Don't do anything for a few days. See if you change your mind. Because almost always for me, I do. And it's the same thing at the mall. If I can carry it around for a little while, it's gone. This is what malls are good for, and this is what they should market with, though. Christmas gifts. Gift giving, that is the best place to go if you have no ideas, go to a mall, walk around, go into every store, go into everything. If you're like, man, I need to get something for Mother's Day, I just can't think of something. Nowadays, these malls are so strange and so weird, and they've let anybody else just like walk in, that they have the giant crystal and imported statue store. They have the Bath and Body Works that's still in there. Get yourself a candle, get yourself that kind of thing. That seems to be the only thing that they are good for, because now it was almost like I wanted the mall to be more than what it was capable of being, and it wasn't fun anymore. And let me know, has anyone else experienced this? Because I already know a lot of you grew up in the 80s and the 90s and even earlier, in the early aughts even. Malls were big and bad, and like even in 2005. Let me know, I'm not going to pick up the phone. I'll be honest with you. Y'all can call, but I ain't going to pick up. But let us know in the Hall of Furniture Facebook stream. How do you guys feel about the mall? Is the vibes off there? Is it ruined? Let us know. Also, for some reason, why do you have to put the bathrooms 3 years from each other, 3 years apart? Someone explain that to me. All right, we've hit the top of the hour. We're going to go take a quick break here. We will be back with more on the other side. I may delve into some more of what's going on in this game world that I may or may not be developing, and we'll talk some more stuff on the other side, all right? Well, stay tuned to Unleash, sponsored by our friends over there at Burrell's Termite and Pest Control. And give us your opinions in the Hall of Furniture Facebook stream. More coming up at you after this.
Hey, it's Chewy, and if you've got pests, you need the folks that I trust. Burrell's Termite and Pest Control. They're right here.
Spring is a season of renewal, and at High Point Health System, with Ascension St. Thomas, your health is always in season. From routine checkups to advanced care, their dedicated team is here to help you feel your best, today and every day. Compassionate care, backed by the strength of Ascension St. Thomas. This spring, take a moment for your health. Learn more or find a provider at highpointhealthsystem.com. High Point Health System with Ascension St. Thomas. Caring for you for every season of life.
With the latest from around FCHS and Rebel Nation.
The Rebel Report, every weekday, presented by Oaklawn Baptist Church, right here on ESPN Radio Winchester.
Welcome back to the Rebel Report. We're hitting an exciting time of the year as postseason play is right around the corner for our spring sports teams.
That's right. The regular season is winding down, and every game from here on out has major implications as our Rebels prepare for district tournaments and playoff runs.
Starting on the diamond with our Rebelettes softball team, they're closing out their regular season schedule tonight at home as they take on Shelbyville.
It's always great to finish the season on your home field, and this matchup gives the Rebelettes one last chance to build momentum heading into postseason play. A strong performance tonight could set the tone for a deep tournament run.
Absolutely. Be sure to come out and support the team as they look to end the regular season on a high note.
Switching over to the pitch, our boys soccer team still has some important work to do before postseason play officially begins.
They've got 2 key games remaining, one on the road against Warren County and another at home against Shelbyville.
And these aren't just any games. Both matchups carry major playoff seeding implications, which means the Rebels will need to bring their best effort in each one.
Seeding can make all the difference when it comes to tournament play, so these final games are crucial. Expect a lot of intensity and focus as the teams look to secure the best possible position heading into the district tournament.
Now let's head back to baseball. The Rebels are officially kicking off postseason action this week.
That's right. Baseball begins their district tournaments this Thursday in Lawrence County.
They'll face off against Tullahoma in their opening game with first pitch set for 4:30.
This is where it all starts. It's win or go home, and the Rebels will be looking to come out strong and make a statement early in the tournament.
Postseason baseball always brings the energy, and the team has shown they're capable of competing at a high level.
We'll be keeping a close eye on how those brackets shape up this week.
Good luck to all our athletes this week.
And as always, go Rebels.
Located at 108 Memorial Drive in Winchester, Oaklawn Baptist Church is a place where families grow, faith is strengthened, and students are encouraged to live with purpose, which is why we're proud to sponsor the Rebel Report. Our mission is simple: introduce people to Jesus and build strong families through God's Word. Join us this weekend for Sunday school at 10 and worship to follow at 11. Learn more online at oaklawnbaptistchurch.org.
You're listening to ESPN Radio 1340 AM WCDT and 106.9 FM W295 AV Winchester, Southern Middle Tennessee sports leader.
Why choose More Courtney Funeral Home? Well, they're a fifth-generation funeral home taking care of the people of Franklin County since 1905. They're committed to serving you, dedicated to providing personalized, professional, and compassionate service to help lighten your burden and help you out during these difficult times. More Courtney Funeral Home, 300 First Avenue Northwest in Winchester, 967-2222. More Courtney Funeral Home.
You are now experiencing Unleashed with Chewy on ESPN Radio Winchester, presented by Bell's Termite and Pest Control. Please stand by for your regularly scheduled broadcast and enjoy the show.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Unleashed, presented by our friends over there at Burroughs Termite and Pest Control. Let's see here. Joe jumped in saying that it would be cool to have a radio station in the mall, and there used to be one in Tullahoma. That's pretty neat. I think that would be kind of fun, too. I think malls should do the thing that Walmart does, where they have their own internal radio station. Brett Crabtree jumped in saying, I remember as a kid, a trip to the mall was a very special occasion and was an all-day event if we were ever got to go. I loved it and hated it at the same time. Once I saw what I wanted to look at, it was over. Good point. Very similar to sort of our experience yesterday. It was the day before yesterday. It was definitely like an all-day event. We were there all day, but for us, it was just more moseying and not finding anything. We were just sort of window shopping, I guess, just sort of looking. Piddling is how I would describe it. But Tori we also went to Target, piddled around in there as well. Same idea, though. Yeah, let us know about your experiences at the mall. It's not what it used to be. All right, well, it is Monday, and like I said last week, Cinna Mondays. We're still doing it. We're gonna make it one segment. So I wanted an excuse to talk about movies today, and I'm gonna bring one here for you. A movie, if you haven't seen it, I think you should go and watch it. Now, this is a rated R film, but it's pretty intense, but I would say if you've got someone who's like 15, 16 years old and is sort of in the horror movie genre, this one's for you. This is a personal favorite of mine. It came out in 2011. It is called Cabin in the Woods. It is a science fiction comedy horror. It is by Drew Goddard and directed by him. Drew Goddard, he was also one of the writers and the executive producer on the recent Project Hail Mary movie that just came out. And I wanted to talk about this because it's not that it isn't popular, but it's not like super well known. Most of the time, whenever I tell somebody, hey, which one of your favorite horror films, I'll say Cabin in the Woods, and they're like, well, which one? You know what I mean? And again, this is a basically a critical satire of the slasher and torture movie sort of genre. And the synopsis here says that it's here's the plot. In an underground laboratory, there are mysterious monsters that are all hidden away for specific ritualistic purposes that occur when unsuspecting victims happen upon them. So basically what this movie is about is it is a critical look at the tropes at the horror genre. It is set up comedy first, horror second, where you follow a group of young people, college students who go out to a remote cabin in the middle of nowhere, and every single trope happens where you've got the mysterious guy who tells them not to go out there. They've got the basement that's filled with magical artifacts or spells, incantations, and things like that. And then should something happen to one of the objects in the basement, it will summon some sort of theatrical monster. Now, in this movie, you follow these two guys who are sort of behind the scenes also watching this unfold with you. And it's got this big, long meta-narrative about these people saying they never were given a name, but it was often referred to as the people up top, and they gave the names to the fool, the jock, the virgin, like who lives, who dies, this kind of thing. And it was like, all of those like slasher movie sort of tropes. This is where they dumped them all. It's called Cabin in the Woods, Joe. And it's basically like it is a satire on slasher movies, and it was like, this is how slasher movies get made. Had lots of fun Easter eggs and that kind of thing. I think it made its money back. Yeah, about more than it. A $30 million budget made about $70 million back, or 6.9 mil back, and it is one of these meta commentary films where they're celebrating the genre, but they're also being critical of the genre. So if you like slasher movies, you like horror movies, this is a movie for you to go ahead and jump in, because basically let's see what people say. People call it the quote-unquote wildly inventive. IMDb describes it as 5 teens visit a remote cabin, explore a cellar, find strange items, and when Dana, the lead character, reads a book there, it unleashes zombie killers. But the situation is more complex than it appears. And it is more complex because underneath this place, you start to learn that there's more going on, that it gives you answers to things like, why are they splitting up? Why is someone doing that? Why isn't it important that there's these 2 people are on the screen doing X, Y, or Z? It gives a reason for all of these like horror tropes to happen. And on top of this, it's also a comedy. So it's making fun of the thing that it's also celebrating. So it's going through and it's making fun of like the slasher movie genre, the zombie movie genre. It's making fun of like the serial killer thing. It's very much Evil Dead coded, but it's a little more clever than that. And it was a movie that was obviously based on a book of the same name, and it's an interesting look. If you like sort of that sort of inverse sort of look at movies and that kind of thing, it just depends. It's a personal favorite of mine. Oh yes, okay, I'll talk about that. So I'm getting text messages in the middle of the show. My dad wanted me to reveal something to you guys, and I'll do it. And it makes sense because towards the end of the movie, the reality of what it is actually sort of falls apart, and then you start realizing that none of the movies are a coincidence. It literally all hell breaks loose, and when I say that, I mean it semi-really. Like semi-honestly, there is a reference or an illusion, straight up copycat of every version of every monster that you can think of in your head from the 1980s and 70s, from the slasher torture stuff and the gore and all that. Everything's got a reason for it to be there. It ties everything in a very nice, neat little bow. I have to highly recommend this film. It's called Cabin in the Woods. You can go and stream that tonight. I would recommend getting a physical copy. But if you can't get a hold of one, understandable. Head on out there. It's one of the most fun horror, quote-unquote horror films you can ever have. Visually, it reads horror, but literally, it's very much a comedy. And again, it is rated R. I would not recommend it for anyone under like the age of 16. But for adults and more, head on over to your local streaming services. I don't know which one to use, but go watch Cabin in the Woods. It's from 2011, directed by Drew Goddard. Also, Joss Whedon produced it, and he produced it with this guy after they got done working on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So if you like Buffy the Vampire Slayer and you like sort of that style of comedy, that sort of that quippy sort of thing, Joe says, I'm going to go grab it at Blockbuster. Hey, if only, right? But I think I am almost positive that they did have this at Blockbuster at our local one. Our local Blockbuster lasted a little while, and I remember going to Blockbuster so much. I love Blockbuster. Don't even get me started. But anyway, I thought that was a fun movie for people to go and check out. Drew Goddard directed it, wrote it along with Joss Whedon. Joss Whedon, if you don't know, he was the director of The Avengers, did Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Firefly, stuff like that. So if that is your wheelhouse, I would highly recommend that. And I think that's all I got for you as far as Cinema Mondays go. Go out there and enjoy that. That'll be your homework for the weekend. Go watch Cabin in the Woods. You'll enjoy it, especially if you like horror films. All right. Yes, Dad, I will bring up this thing that you sent me. So, speaking of movies, listen, y'all, it's 1,000 degrees in here. I got to bring in this fan. I hope we don't run out of battery. I need 3 AAA batteries. I don't know if we got anywhere. I looked around during the break. I couldn't find any. All right. That's what this is. If you're watching on with the Hall Furniture Facebook stream, jump in with us. Jump in the chat and let us know what are your recommendations for Cinema Mondays. Should I be watching anything? I know the guys all like to tell me about, I got to watch this sports movie, I got to watch that sports movie. Rudy seems to be on the top of the list. My main sports movie growing up as a kid was Radio. So if that sort of gives you an inkling on where I am as far as sports goes, the most I know about football came from the movie Radio. Oh, thank you, Joe Abraham. Did you find three AA batteries? Joe found 2 AA batteries. W's in the chat for Joe. It's 1,000 quadrillion degrees in here. Now, here's my point. Dad just texted me. Breaking news, everyone. The T-Rex is no longer what you might have thought it was. Yes, that's right. A new study came out showing the giant turkey just got even more turkic. He sent me an article specifically talking about, let me see. Yeah, specifically talking about how T-Rexes may not have ran the way. Wow, that's so much better. W's in the chat for Joe Abraham. You can donate to the Joe Abraham Fund, and every $10 gets you an inch on his height. Well, there goes that. All right. Say goodbye, Jurassic Park, T-Rex from Jurassic Park. A new study argues that it didn't run like a giant reptile, but had a gait similar to that of an ostrich. So, yes, your giant turkey jokes are 100% on point. The gait is described as ostrich-like and more bird-like rather than the reptilian gait or walk. Oh, my God. Joe Abraham, you're so lucky I didn't have the wide shot on. I would have never let you live that down. Joe Abraham just came running past me that looked just like the way I did when I played soccer as a kid. But yes, similar to that of an ostrich, new research challenges the popular image of Tyrannosaurus rex as a lumbering beast and revealed it is more likely moved with that of bird-like toe-first gait and digigrade locomotion. Similar to that of modern ostriches, studies enhance the efficiency and potential faster movement than previous thought. The study also analyzed fossilized bone footprints, refining the understanding of the iconic predators' biomechanics and speed. That's right. That means that the giant turkey, what would you call that? A threat? What is it called whenever you accusation? The giant turkey accusations are 100% correct. This thing gets more and more bird-like every year. I have seen. You would not realize the amount of adult men and women, the amount of adults who lose their mind the moment that you make an animal look more like an animal than a movie monster. You would think that they're personally offended. You show feathers on a dinosaur, and then all of a sudden you act like they slapped your mom. You know what I mean? Like oh, it's not scary anymore. And I'm like, I think the only reason you thought it was because of Jurassic Park. But this goes to further show, yes, the bird overarching bird story, 100% true. The ostrich gait seems to be a thing, and I do believe that the T-Rex did have feathers. Do I believe that it had feathers all over his body like a giant turkey? No, not necessarily. If I'm personally opining, I'm going to say it probably had larger quill-like feathers, similar to that of like a cassowary, if you've ever seen one of those, probably along the ridge of its back, left over from whenever it was a juvenile. The juveniles were probably covered in what they call dino fuzz. And what dino fuzz is basically, it was what's called proto-feathers. It is where scales and feathers come from very similar places. And the proto-feathers themselves were small striations of hair-like follicles that draped over animals for both insulation and movement. And the proto-feathers are very fuzz-like. Lots of pterosaurs had these. Lots of juvenile dinosaurs had these. And lots of other similar theropod dinosaurs had them as well. There are, however, some dinosaurs that had full feathers, like a turkey, like a velociraptor. So like a velociraptor, when I say velociraptor, what most people think is they think of Jurassic Park and they think of the quote-unquote raptors. What the raptors were in the book are based off of the animal called Deinonychus, but he uses the name velociraptor because the name of velociraptor is badass. And it is. And it's badass. It is, but it's wrong. But their velociraptor was about the size of a large falcon or a medium-sized turkey. That's right. A velociraptor head was only about that big. Not necessarily the apex predator that we see in Jurassic Park. However, don't let that stop you from realizing, hey, guess what? There actually were raptors that were about that size and even bigger. There was ones called Utah raptors that were like almost the size of a horse, much closer to those in Jurassic Park. But unfortunately for you, if this is a problem, I don't understand why this is a problem. If someone could tell me why feathers on dinosaurs is a problem, basically, let me know. But they were also covered in feathers. And they had the down feathers that go all the way over their body. And then on the sides, on their forearms, they had quill knobs that you can find in the fossils. And those quill knobs were for large feathers that went on the sides of their arms, just like how an ostrich will push itself with its feathers while it runs. It'll like alter its speed by leaning a certain way and pointing the wings like that. There's also something called assisted aviation. I don't know if that's the right word for it. I forget. It has an actual name, but it's a kind of locomotion where animals will use non-flight feathers to give themselves a boost getting up things. Baby chicks and chickens can be seen doing this, where they're like trying to walk up a really steep like incline of like a branch or a tree or something. They will flap their wings to give them a little bit of a push. Some people have even said that it could possibly have very slight glide mechanics, maybe. Possibly. I mean, I'm not against that idea. I think it may have been a little bit heavy for that. Joe says that he would punt that punk. And yes, you would. You would be more than easily able to stomp a velociraptor. It is not a difficult thing. It'd be about as difficult as it is to do that to like a, I don't know, like a crane or like a big falcon, like a large predatory falcon. That's about the danger level of a velociraptor besides its little teeth. And had a really big claw, that one that you see in Jurassic Park. Most of the raptors in general all had those. Interesting that we call them that because they're not actually related to the raptors nowadays. The raptors nowadays are the clawed birds like eagles, falcons, owls, and that kind of thing. Theropods, yes, but not direct descendants of velociraptors, nor are any of the, like a chicken is not a direct ancestor to the T-Rex either, but it is in the same family. Very interesting stuff. But yeah, it turns out, I guess the silhouettes of the T-Rex running in through the rear view mirror, totally different now that we've got that. While we're on that, just because I want to talk about it, they have also been releasing recreations of dinosaur noises. Theoretical, of course, mostly theoretical. There's only one dinosaur in particular where we do actually know what it sounded like, and that was a Parasaurolophus. That's that one with the big crest horn thing that it's got up there. It was hollow with air sacs, and they put it through there. Dad says, no feathers on dinosaurs? Reality sucks for you. LOL. I think so. I think, I don't know. Anytime I learn something new about them, it doesn't really matter to me what they look like. It's always just more fascinating that it got weirder. Which seems to be a thing with large predators in deep time. Like the other day, Dunkleosteus, which is one of the first bony jawed fish, was halved from its theoretical max size. It was like shortened by half, but it was still like 8 feet long and 3 foot tall, wide jaws. Had an entire front of its face was all completely bone. And had skin on top of it and everything, but it had a giant scissor-like jaw where it didn't have teeth. It just had 2 cutting incisors that would clamp down on prey. One of the first jawed fish in the fossil record that we found. But it got halved the other day. And then people went online and they're looking at this new kind of cuttlefish that may have been up to like 15 feet long, like wide enough to swallow you. And also way early extinction periods, or pre-extinction periods, that kind of thing. But the noise thing. So lots of interesting things about dinosaurs have happened in the last 30 years. If the last time you ever had interaction with dinosaurs was Jurassic Park, I highly recommend go read some of the articles in the Scientific American. You can also go and read some journals on. There's lots of debate right now in the fossil community, so there's never a shortage. If you like drama, wait till you read a scientific paper dissing another science experiment. And this happens all the time in deep time studies because there's good reason to believe X and Y. And a lot of these times, these groups don't like each other. And you have to pick apart what sounds the most mathematically correct or the most materially correct to you. But if you are an outside observer, if you're just like an armchair physicist or you're an armchair, archaeologist or something like that, go read these papers. And if there's anything that's like based on inference because of something and it's like not hard, concrete evidence, it is a litany of drama, the passive-aggressive threats, like that kind of thing. Very much so, all of that. And like recently, though, if you're interested, we discovered some cells in dinosaurs where we could actually find out what color the dinosaur is. There is actually a dinosaur. It was a small theropod that had a long ring tail, much like a raccoon, and we know that it had red feathers. And we know we actually have a real recorded, understood, scientifically described animal from that time that we know exactly what it looked like, color, shape, posture, gait, and all. Fantastic stuff. Go on out there. But recently they've been doing experiments with what dinosaurs may have sounded like. In particular, it's not necessarily what we may have thought. The filmmakers for the Jurassic Park movies, when they had their Foley guys out there, they spent up to a year creating some of the dinosaur noises, and there's amazing, fantastic renditions and combinations of lions and tigers and bears and walruses even, and like I think some of them were even made by recording the tires on an 18-wheeler on the highway, and obviously incorporating lots of bird sounds and distorting and changing those as well. Very disturbing, strange, ethereal noises that they're producing in these experiments. And the experiments themselves are more conjecture than anything, but the conjecture alone it's kind of incredible. But so what they realized is that the animals of these size, if you ever watch like a saltwater crocodile trying to make a noise, what it does is it doesn't have like a vocal cords in like the sort of the same way that we do or like a bird does necessarily. What it does is it bellows and it literally shakes the air molecules around its body and inside of its chest to produce an audible noise. Alligators even use this to shake the water around them. Either alligators or crocodiles. It was one of the others. I get those mixed up. I'm not a modern reptilian kind of guy. But the dinosaur noises in particular, the T-Rex noise has been getting kind of popular, is they realize that that size, the frequency that it would create to communicate would be so low that if you were near the creature, that you would not hear it but actually feel it first, and it would probably violently destroy your eardrums because of how low and how loud the sound would be. It would get down and it would be that where if you would be able to know that a T-Rex was nearby because the ground would start to shake from its noises that it would make. Very, very creepy stuff. They did one for the Spinosaurus, and they used like a couple of like goose and crane and duck calls all together, but stretched the baritones and all that coming out of a palate of an animal that large, and absolutely horrifying, creepy sounding stuff. Very much like it sort of rattles your lower primate brain, that lizard brain of yours, where it's like, oh, that's a danger noise, where you realize, that's not supposed to make that. Dad jumped in, speaking about it though, saying the saddest thing I ever told you as a child. This is a funny story. We may need to save this for if you ever get on air, Dad, but we'll bring it back up. But this, he told me as a child, is that aliens. Okay. All right. I'll tell the story. So when I was a kid, as you can probably imagine, as I did not, my requests were strange for story time at night. It fluctuated between, niche children's books. I was a big Eric Carle guy, that kind of thing. 1 fish, 2 fish, 3 fish, blue fish. I was all about it. But one of the ones I'd always want my dad to read to me at night were those visual encyclopedias. And in particular, I had a couple of those on dinosaurs and birds and the body and all this other stuff. And I really liked hearing about the dinosaurs at night. and I was not satisfied with my dad going, and this is the T-Rex. And I was like, I don't know how to read, but I know that's not just one letter. I need you to give me the full scientific pronunciation. And so I would like make my poor father, and I'm sure he's like drained at night, and I'm over here like, actually, I can kind of tell you're BSing me right now. I need you to go ahead and give me the full genus and species of that, please. So I was not satisfied to hear Spinosaurus. I had to make sure that Dad pointed at the word and said Spinosaurus aegypticus or Tyrannosaurus rex, and stuff like that. So, but one of my unending questions I asked Dad, or Dad told me about the fact he was trying to describe how light goes across the universe. And he told me that if there was an alien who was 65 light years away and he pointed a telescope at Earth, and if the telescope was strong enough, he'd be looking at dinosaurs. Now, when he told me this, my child brain inferred, the reason we don't know where the dinosaurs are is because we don't have a good enough telescope. Well, that's fine. We don't need a telescope. We live on Earth. So I told my dad, yes, okay. Well, they're seeing the dinosaurs. Could you please go take me to them, please? I would like to go see them. And he was like, no. You don't understand. And then he sort of tried to give me a rough, low-down idea of like relativity, light speed, like how light reaches places and stuff like this, which was crushing to me because the only thing I heard was, I know for a second there you thought that dinosaurs still existed and we could go see them, but actually they're all still dead and they're not ever coming back, and there's no way you'll ever be able to see them, to which I collapsed. I was so more than excited to go. I was like, oh, I didn't know they were over there. Well, let's just go and, obviously if the aliens can go and see the dinosaurs, let us just go. We don't even need a telescope. We can just go and look at them. And but yeah, that's a story. My dad needs to come on here and tell that story. That would be a fun story. Does anybody else have any similar stories to that? Let us know in the Hall of Furniture Facebook stream. That's the day it all went downhill for me. I was like, that's the way it's going to be? Fine. I'll make my own dinosaurs, which is a thing that they're actually trying to do. There's multiple projects right now trying to resurrect some Ice Age animals, which I actually think is not a terrible idea in some cases. We'll opine some more on that in the break after this. Let us know, should we or could we in the next break? Jump in on with us this morning in the Hall of Furniture Facebook stream. If you got something else to say, let us know in the chat. Stay tuned to Unleashed, presented by our friends over there at Burroughs Termite and Pest Control after these messages.
And at Abraham Art Gallery, we're more than just a place to see great art. We're a place to create, connect, and celebrate. Join us for monthly classes for kids and adults, artist talks, and hands-on events that welcome beginners and collectors alike. Need a unique space for a shower, small gathering, or creative workshop? Our gallery is available for private rentals too. And of course, come browse the latest exhibit. You might just find that perfect piece to take home. Find us on Instagram and Facebook, learn more at abrahamgallery.com, and visit us on the square in downtown Winchester.
There are all kinds of guys out there. Sports guys, hunting guys, even those DIY guys. Well, let's be honest, not every guy's built the same. We're garage guys. We show up on time, we do the job right, and we don't cut corners. From installs to repairs, we take pride in doing it right the first time. Serving Franklin, Coffee, Bedford, Lincoln, and Moore County, it's quality work you can trust. So call Garage Guys today or find them online at garageguys931.com. Garage Guys, built different.
This is Daryl from Columbus, previously from the Paul Feinbaum Show. I like your show. I've been watching you for years. I like you, but I don't like you. I don't know you like Tennessee or Alabama. I don't know which one you like, but I know you don't like the Auburn Tigers, man.
Willie, thank you. I'm a little bit confused by liking me and not liking me, but you laid out your case very well.
The Paul Feinbaum Show, weekdays at 3 Eastern on the ESPN app and on the SEC Network.
Got a project to tackle or a party to plan? Skip the stress and rent it instead at Reliable Rental in Winchester. From tools and heavy-duty machines to chairs, tables, and event essentials, they've got what you need to get the job done right. Whether it's work or a weekend celebration, Reliable Rental makes it easy. Stop by 2433 Deckard Boulevard in Winchester or check out everything they offer online at ReliableRentalFC.com. Reliable Rental. When you need it, they've got it.
This is Unleashed with Chewy, powered by Burl's Termite and Pest Control on ESPN Radio 1340, 1069, WCDT, Winchester.
Welcome back, ESPN Radio Winchester, 1340, 1069. We're talking deep time. It is Unleashed with Chewy, presented by our friends over there at Burl's Termite and Pest Control. Hey, there's Andrew. Good afternoon, Andrew. How are you doing, bud? I jumped out of there talking about a paleo park. It's actually Pleistocene Park. My fault. Sort of talking about, it's kind of exactly what you're thinking it is. It is a Pleistocene Jurassic Park, essentially. It is a nature reserve in the what they call the Sakha Republic in Russia in northeastern Siberia. An attempt is being made to recreate the northern subarctic steppe grassland ecosystem that flourished in the area during the last glacial period. The project is being led by Russian scientists Sergei Zimov and Nikita Zimov, testing the hypothesis of repopulating large herbivores and predators can restore rich grassland ecosystems as expected if overhunting and not climate change was primarily possible for the extinction of wildlife and disappearance of grasslands at the ends of the Pleistocene epoch. Very interesting stuff, and I'll tell you why. So, what a lot of people do not understand is that the fact that we have polar ice caps is actually an indicator of what era we're in. And what people don't realize is we're still technically in the ice age because we have polar ice caps. So that era, we're still in that era. It's just the 99% of what it was is all gone. And we actually can trace back much of the climate change to human behavior. And what I'm talking about is not modern climate change. I'm talking about the just drastic climate change that happened for the past 10,000 to around 4,000 years ago. And if you look at that timeline, when does like modern history, like when I say modern history, I'm talking about when people started writing stuff down. China, I think, was actually more like 9,000 years ago. But the birth of like modern history starts at around the time when that was going extinct. A lot of people don't realize that like when the pyramids were being built, there were still pockets in Siberia where mammoths were still walking around. Like that's how close we are to this era. There are parts of this world that are still extremely similar to the ecological conditions that were created during the Ice Age. Now it also helped, talk about some of the land migration with humans. The point being, this is actually a smart experiment, and I'll tell you why. This is not necessarily the Jurassic Park sort of thing. I'm sure if they ever get to a point to where they could replicate something close to a woolly mammoth, when people are cloning things like a mammoth, what the end result will be, it is not going to look like a woolly mammoth. It will look probably like a mildly hairier elephant, but its DNA sequence will be basically the same as what a mammoth would be. It's just the genes that are physically expressed are not exactly the same. Like two beings can look totally different and still be genetically the same thing. It's just different expressions of certain genes and recessive things that it's a long, complicated process that I am not smart enough to fully understand myself. But I'll tell you why I think this is actually a good idea. Regardless of your opinions on if human-made climate control is real, if it's fossil fuels, if it's any of this, it's a big conspiracy. That's not what we're talking about. We're actually talking about the Ice Age. And human migration patterns can be both mapped, and so can the decline of the megafauna in those areas. Joe Abraham says, you were so concerned with whether or not that you didn't stop to ask yourself if you should. It's a very good, reasonable, and wise question to ask when talking about resurrecting certain animals. Not in the least bit reasonable to say, hey, maybe we should not be reintroducing extinct fauna into an ecosystem that does not currently support it. To which I would reply, I think you're absolutely right to be anxious about that. Number 2, here's why I think we should actually do it, though. Really the main reason being is that climate sciences are much more terrestrial based than you think. It's not just like aerosols and, like bad chemicals in the air and stuff like that. Human interaction, as soon as humans became the dominant predator, both intellectually and physiologically, outpacing other human species on this planet, which happened around 20 to 10,000 years ago, where we were the ones who were deciding things, where we both outbred and outpaced and out-evolved-ish. Now, I won't say out-evolved. We outsported the rest of the human populations that were in the world, because if you didn't know, there were times on this earth where there was up to 15 different species of humans running around. Kind of a wild thing, don't you think? But besides that, what we can also show is that the migration patterns of humans, the rise in their population, and the decrease in those megafauna all were contributors to the receding of the polar ice caps, which basically gave birth to modern civilization. And the main one of these, you're not going to believe this, it is not the mammoths, it's not the giant sloths, it's not the saber cats, it's not the snow. Permafrost. Ice Age permafrost from wild horses. So in a few places, there were wild horses that existed in the Ice Age, and we even have a few specimens that were found in the permafrost out there. And we can find both their ancient foot tracks and also where they resided. And we can also find where people in ancient times recorded seeing these horses as well on cave paintings and stuff like that. Well, they sort of reverse benchmarked a lot of this stuff, followed the stuff, and in a lot of those Eurasian steppes, permafrost, basically what would happen is the migration patterns of these horses would go across these big plains and these steppes, and the horses' feet would stamp the dead plant material further and further into the ground every year. So the plants would die, they would be on the top of the soil, the horses would come through, stamp it further into the frost. And because it was frozen, the nitrogen on the inside of it was not being released, or not the carbon dioxide coming off of the plants from the dead plant material was not being excreted into the atmosphere, and therefore not being caught up as a greenhouse gas and helping warm the planet. But what was actually happening after that was when the horses were gone, there was no more foot traffic, literally, to push the plant material back down. And then on top of that, there was not enough frozen moisture to lock the carbon dioxide in. And we're talking about hundreds of thousands of miles of Eurasian steppes that had tons, just ungodly amounts of carbon dioxide just waiting in the permafrost. And when those creatures died, after the migration patterns came through, after we started altering those things, the carbon dioxide was released back into the atmosphere. And over the course of the next few thousand years, versus over a couple 100,000, the ice started to recede at such a pace that massive flooding was becoming a problem. The acidity of the world's water started to change. The extinction of almost all large megafauna, large terrestrial megafauna, especially as far as mammals go as well. And at that time, there are things like giant penguins and giant kangaroos and giant, they had glyptodons and saber cats and giant sloths and mammoths and all these other things. All of them, like a domino effect. As soon as we knocked in, we did that. That is what this Pleistocene Park is trying to recreate to a degree. They are going out of their way to try to research the climate effects of the extended changes in the ecosystem. The hypothesis is that the change from the tundra to grasslands will result in a raised ratio of energy emissions to energy absorptions of the area, leading to less thawing of the permafrost and thereby less emissions of greenhouse gases. It is also thought that the removal of the snow by large herbivores will also further reduce the permafrost's insulation. And to study this, the large herbivores have been released and they have been, and their effect on the local flora is being monitored. Preliminary results point to the ecological low-grade tundra biome, and which is covered by a productive grassland biome, and energy emissions of the area being raised. Basically what they're saying is there a noticeable difference of the emissions of carbon dioxide, nitrogen, and other elements in the soil based on if there are large megafauna in similar conditions to where they were in the Ice Age, which is fine. So people have taken this and just ran with it. And so now what they're doing, they're saying, well, you know what? Well, we have the base DNA sequence of some of these mammoths, right? We have the physical remains of them. And if we cannot extract them, we can use modern gene editing techniques to push an elephant embryo into being a mammoth embryo. And the way that they would do this is they would literally do it the way they did it with Dolly. If you don't know who Dolly is, Dolly was that sheep that was cloned. And the way you clone something, it's not in a test tube. It is through basically in vitro, where you inject the cells into the animal and then let them basically gestate through pregnancy and see if the animal on the other side has the genes that you were hoping to express or copy. Dolly was one of these ones where she was successful, and they did it, and she was the real thing. Now, a lot of the times whenever you do this, it's almost like a homunculi where they just don't live very long, where a lot of these cloned animals, some people have proposed cloning the animals for organ harvesting, like cloning pigs to make like a valve in your heart, or, you know, cloning or like anything that we can graft. Like I know like some people have like horse valves and stuff like that. That's been a big thing. There's a technology called CRISPR, and it is a gene editing tool, which has caused a lot of controversy. We could talk about that if you want to talk about that. It's not a super fun topic because it gets sort of like mad sciencey. My point being, they're taking the tech from both the Dolly cloning thing and CRISPR, and then using the ecological study at the Pleistocene Park to apply a science that hasn't been done before, and that's resurrecting a previously extinct animal in this way. I should say this. There have been other projects that have been 100% successful in this with restoring newly extinct animals. I think there was an ibex or something that was brought back over several generations. The problem is, though, when you've got something the size of a mammoth, you have to work with elephant-sized pregnancies, basically. And the problem with that is that elephants take a few years during their pregnancy. So you may not get to anything even remotely resembling a mammoth genetically until your 5th or 6th try. But how many years down the line are you before you start to realize, oh man, we're not going to see a mammoth until X, Y, or Z? That's where CRISPR comes in. CRISPR can literally take, change, and edit the tools inside of the DNA sequencing to, I don't know if force is the right term, but to push an expression of certain genes into the creature. And there is a hope that if we ever reach there, and with the advent of AI and CRISPR basically getting hundreds of thousands of dollars and millions of funding, let alone, I mean, talking about other things like fusion and stuff like that that'll help push along the computer market to help these scientists do these certain things. Like the moment that CRISPR becomes cheap is like, that's it. That's when we're getting the designer babies, and we're, you know, switching on certain genes, and epigenetics are starting, or you'll have an epigeneticist at every, you know, street corner telling you what you should and shouldn't take and shouldn't do. That's obviously down the line. It's not what we're talking about, but very interesting experience over there at Pleistocene Park. All right, I think I've done enough mad sciencey stuff here for you guys this afternoon. I'm going to go take a break. We'll be back with more of Unleashed with Chewy. Might continue to talk some science. Who knows? Stay tuned. ESPN Radio Winchester 1340 1069 Unleashed, presented by our friends over there at Burroughs Termite and Pest Control. Tune in with us after these messages. We'll be right back.
You ever go down the rabbit hole at 2 in the morning and come out questioning everything? That's kind of what it's like listening to Unleashed with Chewy, presented by Burroughs Termite and Pest Control. That's right, this isn't your typical show. We're going to be talking conspiracies, space, movies, science, whatever our brain brains have got spinning that day. Some days make sense, most definitely don't. Either way, we're going to have a great time. Unleashed with Chewy, weekdays from 2 to 4 on ESPN Radio Winchester.
Hey folks, I'm Johnny Hand from WCDT, the home for Franklin County Athletics. From Friday night football to every big game in between, we're proud to bring you all the action that keeps our community cheering. Want to be part of that excitement? We'd love to talk with you about advertising and other great opportunities to support our local athletes. So give us a call today at 931-967-2201 or stop by the station at 1201 South College Street right here in Winchester. WCDT Winchester. We are Franklin County.
From the 931 Go Weather Center, it's time for an ESPN Radio Winchester weather update, presented by Pennett's Pharmacy.
Got some showers and thunderstorms headed your way tonight. After we cool down to a low of 59 degrees, we have an 80% chance of precipitation. Tomorrow morning looks like it'll be about the same, with only a 10% lower at 70% chance of precipitation in the early mornings in the high 60s. Stay tuned to ESPN Radio Winchester for all of your rainy weather updates.
Looking for more than just prescriptions? Bennett's Pharmacy in Winchester has it all. Grab a bite from our menu, browse our boutique for one-of-a-kind finds, and sip on a Bloody Marty that's worth talking about, all in one stop. Located at 1201 Dinah Shore Boulevard, Bennett's Pharmacy is your unexpected destination for great food, fun shopping, and so much more. Call us at 931-967-2777 or come see what everyone's raving about.
This is Unleashed with Chewy, powered by Burl's Termite and Pest Control on ESPN Radio 1340 1069 WCDT Winchester.
ESPN Radio Winchester 1340 1069. This is Unleashed with Chewy, presented by our friends over there at Burl's Termite and Pest Control. Jump on in with us if you want to know. You want to get involved with us this morning, you can over there at the Hall Furniture Facebook stream. Come tell me why I'm wrong. Come tell us, are you even interested in the Pleistocene Park? Do you even care? Let us know. 931-967-3500. That's the number for you to jump in with us this morning. This afternoon, you got anything to buy, sell? Nope. I'm doing two different shows at once. Just jump in with us on the Hall Furniture Facebook stream, yeah? All right. Moving on. All right. After all that science talk, let's cover our palates for a bit, okay? I wanted to talk about Olive Garden sucks, and I know we were talking about restaurants earlier, but I just got to say, how hard is it to, isolate something? The last time I went to Olive Garden was an embarrassing experience, okay? Number one, they have crayons. That was annoying. Number two, yes, I ordered something off of the kids' menu, but it was a good thing, okay? It was 2 pizzas. Explain to me why that's an issue. But I wanted to do a few of these, and it's a rapid fire, underrated or overrated. Cheesecake Factory, overrated. Olive Garden Factory, overrated. Malls, unfortunately overrated. Indie gaming development, severely underrated. Fancy restaurants, overrated. I want to know over there in the Hall Furniture Facebook stream, what do you think in general is an overrated thing that everyone else seems to like? And whether that be movies, TV, restaurants, anything. My mom jumped in saying, you eat like a toddler. Okay. And I'm happier than you. So, what do you want me to say to that? Yes, I eat like a toddler, perhaps, but what do you want me to eat? What also, what does that mean? Because I don't subject myself to foods that I don't like? I don't know. I'm not going to pretend. But this morning, or this afternoon, last segment here, I want to talk about something that you guys think is overrated that everyone else seems to like. For me, listen, I'll complain about anything. As far as being overrated, though, I don't like getting into that too much. You know me, but yeah, I'll be honest with you guys. Since Cinema Monday, we're gonna stick to cinema. Can someone tell me the appeal of Terminator? Mom says vegetables would be a good start. I'll think about it. We'll see. I'll run it by my people. I need to talk to my nutritionist before I start changing my diet. I eat very healthy. Okay? I only drink 6 sodas a day. All right? I know. I know it's hard, but I do it. It's a difficult thing to do, to cut down that low. But I still do it. And you know what? It's better than 36, which was what I was usually at, you know. But by that time, I was usually in a coma and I couldn't feel my toes and that kind of thing would happen. But that's besides the point. Point being, can someone explain to me the appeal of the Terminator movies? The only Terminator movie that I ever saw that I liked was called Terminator Salvation. And everyone hated that one for some reason. And I don't get why. Terminator Salvation was awesome. I don't care what anybody says. It was the post-apocalyptic version of what that movie was supposed to be. But watching Arnold Schwarzenegger run around and pretend to be a robot, it's just like let me preface it with this. I see it. I understand it. It makes sense. It's well made. It's points I pick up. I get what he's doing. I get what he's saying. I just don't like it. Can someone explain to me why you do? Same thing goes for basically any James Cameron movie. I've not seen one James Cameron movie where I can sit back and be like, that was a good idea. I don't like the Titanic. I really, really don't like the Avatar movies. I really don't like the Avatar movies. The Avatar movies are the most lazy you can get as a filmmaker, in my opinion. And when I say that, please do not misunderstand me. What I'm talking about is from a directorial standpoint. And also there is some writing that I don't like either. But like, you've got this guy who's this egomaniacal maniac, right? His name is James Cameron. If you didn't know, that's who I was talking about. You come up and you make all these classics. You make one of the highest grossing movies of all time, that being Titanic. And then you got these people who come in and they're like spending like $500 million on essentially what is a cartoon. I mean, if 80% of your movie is CGI, then it's a cartoon. Marvel movies are a good example of this. At this point, Marvel movies are not movies; they are cartoons. They are not real. And they spend ludicrous amounts of money to force extraordinarily talented visual effects artists to tell their story for them. And when they tell that story, the story doesn't have very much substance. And I think it genuinely started with Avatar. Now, some people are going to say it actually started with the prequels. And no, I actually disagree with that. The prequels may not have been written well, but George Lucas had something to say, whether that be something that was worth saying. Was it said well? Who knows? But I understand where George Lucas is coming from when he calls one of the lead villains Newt. Okay? I get it, George. I'm picking up what you're putting down. I get who the Empire is supposed to be. I get it. I get who the Republic is pretending to be. I got it. My point being, when you see something like Avatar, it is so milquetoast and so on the nose of what it's trying to say that it blows past saying anything, and I don't feel anything from the movie because you just made a giant product. This was just an experiment to push special effects. And George Lucas basically wrote the book on using movies to push a technology. Okay? And I do not understand why James Cameron gets a pass for that. If we're going to be critical about these guys doing that, we're going to be critical about all of them. And if you're at least going to do it, say something. Be an artist about it. Put your money where your mouth is. You know what I mean? Don't sit there and reap glory from people who built the stones that you now sit on. I do not appreciate the way James Cameron conducts himself, both as an artist and in life. And I do not understand why or where the ego of that comes from, especially if your biggest product is Avatar. Now, is Avatar interesting? Technically. Is it fantastic, big? Does it hit all the movie points? Is it a movie? Basically. But it's also just a rehash of everything from the past 30 years from that point. It was Fern Gully, Dances with Wolves, every colonizer movie you've ever seen. It's all compacted into one. It's the science and the military have gone too far. Even the names, Na'vi is not a unique thing to Avatar. Unobtainium was a joke. It's literally a joke from the United States Air Force, because it was when they were developing the SR-71 and all these like things. They were like, we need a metal that's super flexible but also super rigid, and then something that can withstand super high temperatures but also super low temperatures, and something that doesn't degrade in normal temperatures either. And it was all these like, this is a very specific kind of thing that doesn't exist. And they're like, oh, so what you want is unobtainium. James Cameron heard that word and thought that was cinematic gold. And you know what it turned out to be? A lot less gold, a lot more brown. And that's all I'll say to that. That's going to be the end of our show this afternoon. Thank you for tuning in to Unleashed with Chewy, presented by Burroughs Termites and Pest Control. Thank you all for who stuck around the whole time. I appreciate each and every single one of you. We'll be here, same place, same time tomorrow. Tune in to ESPN Radio Winchester for the starting lineup tomorrow at, what time does our show start? 7 a.m. 7 a.m. tomorrow, and then same time, same place for Unleashed, presented by our friends over there at Burroughs Termite and Pest Control. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Stay tuned to ESPN Radio Winchester for more after this. I'll see y'all later.
In with the comfort. Refresh your home with Hall Furniture in Winchester. From stylish living room sets to cozy recliners and dining pieces made for gathering, now's the perfect time to upgrade your space. Quality, comfort, and pieces you'll love coming home to. That's Hall Furniture. Visit them at 3131 Deckard Boulevard in Winchester, or browse anytime at hallfurniture.com. Hall Furniture. Make your home feel brand new.
Looking for a reliable car at an affordable price? Stop by Money Down Motors here in Deckard. We specialize in quality pre-owned vehicles with low down payments and flexible financing options. No matter your credit history, drive away today with a car you'll love and a payment plan that works for you. Visit us at 1945 Deckard Boulevard or call 931-962-3404 for more info. At Money Down Motors, LLC. Your ride is waiting.
This is Daryl from Columbus, previously from the Paul Feinbaum Show.
Check in scissor hands. I'm the wrong guy to ask, but what's the secret to a good haircut?
A good haircut makes you feel confident. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, when you get that haircut, you're going to walk out that barbershop, you're going to look in the mirror, and you're going to be like, yeah, that's it. And you're going to tip the barber.
The Paul Feinbaum Show, weekdays at 3 Eastern on the ESPN app and on the SEC network.
It's time for a local news break from the 931 Go News Center.
An advanced emergency medical technician injured in the April 14th ambulance crash in Winchester is now recovering at home. Zach Langford, an AEMT with priority ambulance service, suffered significant neck injuries when the ambulance he was riding in collided with a pickup truck and overturned at the intersection of U.S. Highway 64 and State Route 16. In a post shared to his Facebook page, Langford detailed undergoing major surgery to remove his C5 vertebrae and replace it with a cage secured to C4 and C6. Doctors accessed the injury through the front of his throat in a procedure lasting just about 5 hours. Langford reported that surgery went well and that he was able to walk shortly afterward with minimal assistance and little pain. Aside from a temporary raspy voice, he says he is recovering and expressed gratitude for the prayers and support from the community. At the April 13th Franklin County School Board meeting, legendary football coach Philip Fulmer spoke in support of the new Franklin County High School head coach Chuck Reed. Fulmer, a 1968 graduate of Franklin County High School and former University of Tennessee national championship coach, he emphasized the importance of community backing for the program. Fulmer said Coach Reed knows what it's supposed to look like and encouraged unified support for athletics, noting that sports teach lifelong lessons and help shape community pride. He told board members that district leadership appears aligned and that continued encouragement will be critical as the Rebels work to rebuild. And across North Alabama, communities are marking 15 years since the devastating April 27, 2011 tornado outbreak. 62 tornadoes touched down in Alabama that day, killing more than 250 people statewide. Lawrence County, Alabama alone lost 14 residents. Today, communities reflect on resilience, preparedness, and rebuilding efforts that followed one of the deadliest tornado days in U.S. history. For more local updates, visit 931go.com. Stay informed and stay connected to your community with ESPN Radio Winchester.
When it comes to caring for your loved ones, choose a name you can trust. Inhabit Home Health in Winchester, located at 2068 Cowan Highway. We're here to provide compassionate professional care right in the comfort of your own home. From skilled nursing to therapy services, our team is dedicated to helping you or your loved ones achieve the best quality of life. Call Inhabit Home Health today at 931-967-0633 to learn more about our personalized care plans.
You're listening to ESPN Radio 1340 AM WCDT and 106.9 FM W295 AV Winchester, serving Franklin County for over 75 years.
Join us live every weekday morning at 6:45 for Your Ultimate Health with Dr. Brad Shapiro from Ultimate Health Chiropractic. Enjoy today's segment with Dr. Brad right here on ESPN Radio Winchester.
Now time for Your Ultimate Health with Dr. Brad Shapiro from Ultimate Health Chiropractic.
Good morning, Doc. How are you this morning?
I am doing great, my friend. How are you?
I'm fine. All right, I wanted to ask you about some health myths in particular. And one of these ones was, I keep watching this thing online where they say if you see these like long, lines on your fingernail, that it's a early signs of cancer. Or if you have these sharp chest pains, it's how you know you're about to have a heart attack. And I hear a lot of these things online all the time, and I fear that some people may see this and take it to heart. And I was sort of asking this morning because we talk about a lot of things on this show. You're sort of a wellspring of information, and I was wanting to remind people that extends to them as well. Like if they have questions, they can set up an appointment and ask you, things about nutrition and health and stuff like that. And outside of the free consultation that people can come and get as well, but they can set up an appointment for not just their back, but really any part of their health in general. Like we mentioned before, a lot of people don't know you actually can work as a general practitioner as well, right?